Marketing was all about creativity. We are all going to be using some sort of personal marketing at some point on a date or to get a job or to get new friends. And then most people are going to be using those without even realizing. Well, marketing is pretty much any activity that you are going to be implementing to promote and distribute and price products, services, or ideas.
Then you can see the neurons will fire much more than when you're not touching this now.
So anything that is into this could be marketing. And it's pretty much in our everyday life. If you're not working with it, you're going to be a consumer. You're going to be buying something at some point. And as a consumer, you're going to be able to realize that everything around us is going to be marketing. We are going to be buying something. We're going to be analyzing some of the piece for marketing. So the pricing strategy, the promotion strategy, the distribution strategy, and what the product or the service looks like, which is the product strategy. So everything around us, even though we don't know how things work, we are going to be consumers and we are going to be consuming products or services or ideas. Using the personal marketing strategies, you're going to be trying to position you into that group of friends that you want or that particular job. So everything, if you look at it, besides being a consumer, you're going to be using marketing strategies too. And then most people are going to be using those without even realizing. That's the beauty of it. People don't know what marketing is. Usually they just think it's promotion. It's just advertising.
If you think Google AdWords and email and direct mail and events and everything else are going to get you to the next chapter, you will lose.
And then they see it's a lot more and it's around us 24 hours a day. That is very, very subjective because it depends on the person, depends on what they want, right? But usually what people in general should do is, because that's what companies do, and we are trying to implement marketing strategies, but in a much smaller scale, our lives. And to market ourselves would be pretty much to find what you have.
How comfortable is it when it gets in through their ears?
Yeah.
That is pretty unique. That is pretty much only you can offer that, and then try to set you apart from everybody else. So I am like this, and that's what I am as a person and as a professional, and that's why either companies should hire me or you should date me, or because I have this thing that nobody else does, or I do it much better than everybody else. So it's pretty much finding a unique characteristic that you have to set you apart from everybody else, because that's what companies do, and that's what we should be doing professionally and personally, depending on the goal that you have. That's a good question, because it's kind of linked to the other question that you just asked about, what makes a good, effective marketing campaign. I want to say, Ethan, that my all-time favorite is Just Do It from Nike.
Greatness. It's just something we made up. Some people are told they were born with greatness. Some people tell themselves.
I mean, 1988, I believe it's from late 80s. I want to say 1988. And so it's 32 years old. It's over 30 years old. And to this day, people totally associate that, the logo and to Just Do It to Nike. So, I mean, look at how long this campaign is and how effective it was. So it was able to make people want that brand because they were proud. I mean, just do it, that's like such a short slogan, and that stuck to people's minds and made them want to become Nike's customers. And that is an effective marketing campaign. I mean, you're being able to establish those relationships, and they're going to be very long term because, like I said, over 32 years old. Another one, and I mean, they're in a very tricky industry right now, the soda one. I mean, Coca-Cola, right? It's already been one of the most valuable brands of all time. And every time they have a I'm loving it or share a Coke, you know, those are all very famous campaigns. And every time that they were released, they meant something to a generation. Even though now it's not healthy to have, you know, a soda anymore. I mean, it's never been, but now people know it's not. But those campaigns have been very effective. People remembered the brand. It meant something to them. Yeah, when I said Coca-Cola, I share a Coke, but I'm loving it. It's actually McDonald's. So yes, McDonald's always. And again, very tricky industry because, you know, it's fast food, not very good for your health, but they're able to come up with such effective marketing campaigns that make people actually belong to them, because it means something to them. Now they're not using that anymore, but back in early 2000s, late 90s, they had a playground in front of every McDonald's. And what they wanted to do with that is to create memories in kids for them to keep coming back and having those positive memories. I have a little cousin, now she's not so little anymore. She's she's my cousin's daughter. She's 26 years old now. And I remember taking her to a McDonald's when she was a little kid with my niece and her sister. I would take them there, and then I would be inside eating. They would be playing. And to this day, they love to go to McDonald's because of the memories that they have. So they're pretty effective. And I don't think they're doing that anymore as often, just because of, you know, the ethical dilemma that they may face. But that was very effective. I mean, they were able to create positive memories and to establish those long-term relationships. So, yeah, those two, establish those relationships and try to make them as long-term as possible. It's very hard to say because it's going to depend on a lot of variables. There's going to be different industries, different target markets, different companies, and they're all going to have different objectives, different stakeholders. So there's going to be a lot of variables that are kind of come into play and that are going to interfere in the way that they're going to develop a marketing campaign, right?
You can ship your pants right here. You hear that? I can ship my pants for free.
Wow.
I just shipped my bed.
If you can't find what you're looking for in store, we'll find it at Kmart.com right now and ship it to you for free.
To me, it has to be about establishing those relationships and being positive for both sides. So both sides have to win. The company has to win, but at the same time, they have to be able to, offer something that the customer wants, and the customer needs to be satisfied too, and hopefully become loyal to them. So once you accomplish that, then you're, establishing those relationships. And if the campaign is able to do that, then it's an effective one. It's all a matter. And then, of course, then one thing is going to lead to another, right? They're going to be trying to establish those relationships. And then at the end, they want to be profitable, obviously. So, but I think that at first, you need to have a campaign that is going to establish those relationships. You want a customer to be proud to be your customer.
Battery. Have you been in a Tesla
it's
before?
A battery.
No. Have you been in one?
It's a battery with
wait,
wheels.
I'm being for real right now. Have you been in one? Have you been in one? Have you sat in one and driven one?
No, I have not.
No. Have you been in one?
It's a battery with
wait,
wheels.
I'm being for real right now. Have you been in one? Have you been in one?
And you want to be able to provide the best products and services to that particular customer.
Not one, not two, not three, but 8 cameras. You ain't ever seen that before. Android users are quaking this very second.
That's a very tricky question because, those budgets usually vary. So you cannot tell that they're never going to have, higher advertising budgets, or those companies are never going to have a lower advertising budget. Tesla is like just the word of mouth and the innovation that they offer. That's already big enough. I mean, they don't have a lot of competition, and that's already something else for them. So, I mean, even though that they needed to get their name out, once they did, people are just going to be talking for them, and positive things.
I'm not a car person. I'm impressed with Teslas. I'm not going to lie. So I'm all for you get one.
Word of mouth is really important. So those insurance companies, it doesn't matter if they have the largest advertising budget if they don't provide a good service. Because again, word of mouth is more important than traditional advertising. People trust their peers a lot more than they trust companies.
How would you feel if your company not only tracked your every step, but guided your every move?
I wouldn't like that.
That's the concept behind these tracking wristbands, just patented by Amazon.
It reminds me of a choker for a dog when he's not being obedient.
Even though those companies have large advertising budgets, or may have at some point, that's not going to be good if they don't provide good services and they don't allow people to say good things about them to other people. Those fluctuate. It's not always going to be, Tesla is always going to have a very low advertising budget, which seems to be the case. I think that they're pretty much following a trend, but because they offer something so innovative that people already talk about them for them.
It was quite surprising, actually. I mean, because we didn't do any advertising, or there was no guerrilla marketing.
And on the other hand, insurance companies, even though they may have large advertising budget right now, that probably could change with the future if they are not getting positive word of mouth. So it's very relative. I think it fluctuates. It depends on the time. It depends on the audience. Even though we're talking about insurance services and cars on one side, which are kind of related, the type of products or services there are very distinguished, right? Yeah. One, something really innovative, and the other one, I mean, we have a lot of those.
I'm your cat. Like meow.
Let's go get you an ice cream cone, champ.
Sprinkles?
Sprinkles are for winners.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis.
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
So they really have to work really hard to put their name out because they're competing with so many other companies who are offering very similar things that they are. And advertising is never going to, hardly is going to influence on the decision-making process. It's going to influence on your recall and your recollection. So you're going to remember those brands better when you're about to make a decision, but it's not going to interfere a lot on your purchase decision. Oh, I'm gonna buy this because I saw it on TV.
Well, Maytag and Whirlpool recommend OxyClean because it gets out the spills, the spots and splatters, whether they're ground in, smeared on, or dried up, it doesn't matter. That's the power of OxyClean.
You're gonna remember about them better. That's what advertising is for. So maybe when you're about to decide on your car insurance, that can, it rings a bell, you remember the company, you remember the brand, and then you look for more information about that. That is what it's going to do. But it's not proved that advertising is going to increase your purchase intention. I don't think there's such thing as a company just seeking profit nowadays, because, it's not going to come out well, even if they are deep inside, it's not something that you want to admit. Every company wants to be profitable and people want to be successful and they want to grow, and they're just going to be able to grow if they are profitable and they're making money. But what you actually want is to establish those relationships. It's by doing that you're going to get everything else. So it's kind of like a domino effect. If you don't want to satisfy your customers, you're going to disappear eventually. Or if you're not up to date to what's going on, in the market with the trends and, consumers changing, you're going to disappear too. You could have been the most profitable back in the day, but you want to keep your customers satisfied and you want to keep establishing and maintaining those favorable relationships between you and your customer. So what I mean is, even though you want to grow, you want to be profitable, you want to keep up with everything that I said, because your customer is who is going to make you grow and be profitable. And if you don't pay enough attention to them, then you're not going to last.